Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the session. We'll be talking about safe transactions and data accessing in web and mobile applications. My name is Samuel Johnson. I'm Deputy Director at ISRO headquarters. I report to Rajiv Chetwani, sir, who is the Chief Information Security Officer of ISRO DOS. So broadly, we'll be covering today the safe transactions, what they are, mobile device security, some basics of cyber security, and then password management. So before we begin, I deal with cybersecurity aspects of ISRO. I act as the focal point for central agencies. I'm the coordinator for Office of CISO, and I'm also a system administrator with more than a decade of experience. So let us begin with safe transactions. So financial transactions are crucial in today's digital age, where significant amount of business and personal transactions are conducted online. It is important to ensure the security and integrity of financial and personal data during the online transactions. So some of the aspects of safe transaction would include things like confidentiality, which means that we have to restrict the access of information to only authorized parties. It should also have integrity, which means that we should ensure that the information remains unaltered. And we need authentication, which means that we have to verify and ensure identity of the user, device, or system. And for transaction, we also need non-repudiation, which means that the party cannot deny their action in a transaction. And we also need privacy, where we have to prevent sharing of user data with unauthorized third parties. So these are some of the aspects of secure transaction. And as what is the importance of this? Because the usage is there, risk and attacks are also higher. So as a fast-growing economy, the number of online shoppers in India is predicted to increase to 427 million by 2027. And in the year 23-24, India recorded approximately 187 billion digital payment transactions, number of transactions, for a total of 3,000 trillion rupees. And the number of transactions is estimated to rise to over 411 billion in the financial year of 27 in the country. And there has been tremendous increase in digital payments fraud owing to the increased adoption of this technology. And fraudsters are using innovative ways to dupe vulnerable customers. As per the RBI's annual report of 22-23, card and internet banking fraud rose to 6699 in 22-23 and from 3,596 in 21-22, which is an 86% increase. And the amount involved also increased from 115 crore to 277 crore, which is a 79% increase. And government cybercrime department's data stipulates that in May of 22, there were at least 61,000 complaints of digital payment fraud. And more than 50% of these complaints were related to UPI frauds. And as per the industry estimates, around 80,000 frauds worth 200 crore are committed through UPI every month. Therefore, there's a dire need for mobile security, since most of the apps and our private data like photos, banking, email, and messages are on our mobile phones. Though mobile phones face the same threat or rather more prone to cyber attacks, but we don't generally tend to take mobile security seriously as a traditional computer or laptop security. For example, you may not secure your mobile device with any security appliance or solution as you would like to do your personal or a work computer. So not following cybersecurity best practices can also expose you to threats when you make digital payments at online or offline merchant stores. And malware and ransomware are just as likely to attack your phone as your computer if you don't have any kind of data protection enabled in the device. So these are the reasons why it is important to secure our devices. So coming to UPI, today UPI is the best way to carry out digital payments. UPI is a type of interoperable payment system through which any customer holding any bank account can send and receive money through UPI-based app. This service allows a user to link more than one bank account on the UPI app on their smartphone to seamlessly initiate fund transfer and make collect request on 24/7 basis. The main advantage is that it enables users to transfer money without a bank account or IFSC code being entered. All you need to transfer this amount is a virtual payment address. To use the service, one should have valid bank account and a registered mobile number, which is linked to the bank account. There are no transaction charges for the UPI. Through this, customer can send and receive money and make balance inquiries. So how to use UPI system? So in order to use the UPI system, we need a mobile application. The application communicates with the UPI system and facilitates the fund transfer. But to keep the whole system secure, bank has to play a role of intermediary. For using payment interface, users need to create a virtual ID or virtual payment address of their choice to link it to any bank account. The VPA acts as a financial address and user need to remember beneficiary account number or IFSC code or internet bank user password. So what are the best practices for securing UPI? So always download legitimate UPI application from bank's official source and be cautious before downloading it from any Play Store. Keep strong passwords for phones as well as your UPI application. Do not share MPIN with anybody, not even with bank, and be suspicious of unknown callers claiming to be from your bank. Use biometric authentication if possible. Update your mobile phone and application as often as possible to be secure from vulnerabilities. And if the phone is older, please replace the phone if it is necessary. And enable remote wipe abilities and antivirus software on the phone. Keep your SIM card logged with PIN number to avoid any misuse of SIM card. In case of loss or theft of the mobile device, keep a note of your IMEI number. One simple way is to check IMEI number using the star #06# in your dialer and take a screenshot of your IMEI number. Avoid connecting phones to unsecure Wi-Fi networks. So coming to credit cards and debit cards transactions. So a debit card is issued by bank where you have an account. It is linked to a mobile to a bank account. User can use this card to withdraw cash up to a limit present in the bank account. It can also be used only for domestic fund transfer from one person to another. Whereas a credit card is issued by bank approved by RBI. Unlike debit card, in case of credit card, customer can also withdraw beyond the amount present in his or her bank account. But there is a limit for each card up to which extra amount can be withdrawn. Also, there is a time limit and interest charge to be paid back. So credit card fraud is committed by making use of credit card, debit card of others for obtaining goods or services. This threat emerges due to stealing of information like credit card number, PIN number, password, these which are stored in places. So theft of cards or cloning of cards are also employed to commit such frauds. Hackers use complex techniques like phishing, skimming to gain credit card information from innocent users. Phishing is a way of attempting to acquire information such as username, password, credit card information by masquerading as trustworthy entity through email. Phishing is also carried out by email spoofing, and it often directs user to enter details at a fake website whose look and feel are almost identical to the legitimate one. So continuing the threats, skimming is a type of threat where the theft of credit card information is done. The thief can procure victim's credit card using basic methods such as photocopying receipts or more advanced methods such as using small electronic device which is called a skimmer to swipe and store hundreds of victims' credit card numbers. Common scenario for skimming are restaurant or bars where skimmer has possessed version of the victim's credit card and makes note of credit card for further use. There's also a threat of phishing. It is one of the social engineering method over the telephone system. It's most often used in facility of voice over IP to gain access to private information and financial information from the public for the purpose of financial reward. This term is a combination of voice and phishing. So social engineering also involves gaining trust. Hence, the fraudster poses as a member of the staff or even security guard. The fraudster who's then asks the customer to check the card for damages. He then would have gained confidence from his prey using various techniques such as offering assistance to the customer who perhaps would have tried to use the ATM without success, or perhaps the customer who is not familiar with use of ATM and requires assistance. So what are the best practices for credit cards? Do not share your information, card information, over phone or internet with anybody, irrespective of whether you know them or not. Do not give any card or personal information while answering a telephone call where the caller claims to present the card issuing bank or related organization. You can always call back the bank on publicly displayed numbers if required. So any incoming call, don't give out any answer. If you are really concerned from publicly available information, you can call the bank and understand the concern. While making payment at a merchant location or service provider like restaurant, insist on punching your own PIN number. Always check the bill properly and retain the receipt for comparing against the card statement when you receive at the end of the month. So continuing the best practice, do not throw away the receipt when you are done with it. Tear or shred it. Dumpster divers are known to sift through the garbage bags meticulously and retrieve all the credit card information that can be used to conduct unauthorized purchases over internet. So while using an ATM, ensure that no one is watching your finger movement as you type the PIN. Watch out for cameras within the premises that can capture your PIN number. Try and cover your hand while you type the PIN. Always memorize your card and PIN number. And in case of any loss of theft, report immediately to the concerned bank so that they can temporarily freeze your account and prevent any further unauthorized transaction until you receive your replacement card. So continuing the best practice, never save your card password in regular folder in your computer, hard drive or mail account. If that account gets compromised, there is every possibility that the unauthorized transaction will take place. And while making payment over internet, check for security logo on the company website, confirm it is a safe site. If you are in doubt, check with the concerned company before making such payment. Avoid keeping your credit or debit card in the wallet. Download banking apps directly from official source. Avoid using links that you receive via SMS or download on your banking application. So coming to e-wallet transactions. So e-wallet is an electronic application that enables online e-commerce transaction like purchasing goods, paying utility bills, transferring money, booking flights, etc. So being preloaded with currency by the user, they are designed to be convenient to them over the traditional wallets. A number of IT companies, banks, telecom firms, online e-commerce portals, taxi service, supermarket chain, they all provide e-wallet services. And a number of personally identified information, PIIs, of the customers like name, phone number, protected personal information like credit card number, secret PIN, net banking is permanently stored in e-wallet. So it requiring only the final authorization from the user through means of biometric authentication or one-time password. So what are the threats which an e-wallet faces? Well, first and foremost, impersonation. Impersonation occurs when a fraudster steals information and then poses as a genuine user to do the transaction using the stolen e-wallet detail and password. There can also be SIM swapping attacks where it occurs when a fraudster first collects the user's information and uses it to get his or her mobile or SIM card blocked, and then obtain a duplicate one by visiting the mobile operator's retail outlet with fake identity proof. And the mobile operator deactivates the genuine SIM card, which was blocked, and issues a new SIM card to the fraudster, who then generates one-time password using stolen information. And there can also be man-in-the-middle attack, which is the intercept of online transaction by reading the payment data from internet browser while the user is typing his credit card or bank account details. So it's also vulnerable to phishing attacks where used to steal login details and personal data, making e-wallet accounts susceptible to fraud. The URL of the web page where you're entering the e-wallet details and using e-details should be verified, and it should have a valid SSL certificate. There can also be malware attacks where the attacker can inject a malware to attack the app and collect details from his phone to misuse it. So always keep the wallet software up to date and use security solutions like antivirus and firewalls. So what are the best practices for e-wallet? Enable passwords on device. Strong password should be enabled on the user's phone, tablets, and other device before e-wallet can be used. Additional layer of security provided by these should be used. Use secure networks connections. It is important to be connected only to trusted networks. Avoid use of public Wi-Fi. And install apps from trusted source. Reading the user rating and reviews can provide some clues about the integrity of the e-wallet app. The user must check for e-wallet provider to be showing strong legacy of securely, reliably, and conveniently handling the financial data and providing customer support in the event of card loss or account fraud. Continuing the best practice, avoid writing down the information used to access the e-wallet in plain view or storing them in unprotected file to avoid misuse. And use a hard to guess password unique to digital wallet to prevent against the risk of unauthorized access. Do not switch off the cell phone in the event when numerous annoying calls are received. Rather, answering the call should be avoidable. This could be a ploy to get him or her to turn off the phone and put in silent mode to prevent him from noticing that connectivity has been tampered. So in line with the SIM swapping attack, if the mobile phone switched off, it may help in the SIM swap. So if you are getting too many calls, don't turn off the mobile, just avoid answering the calls. So coming to the point of sale systems, which are the systems which you would have seen in supermarkets and all. So a point of sale system or POS is the place where retail transaction occurs and merchant calculates the amount owned by customer and indicates the amount, prepares the invoice for the customer and indicates the option for customer to make payment. It is also the point at which customer makes payment to the merchant in exchange of goods or after provision of the service. After receiving the payment, merchant issues a receipt for transaction. This is usually printed, but is increasingly being dispensed with by sending it electronically. When consumers use a card or debit card at the POS system, the information stored on the magnetic strip of the card is collected and processed by the device. So the data stored in magnetic strip is referred to as track 1 and track 2 data. The track 1 data is information associated with the actual account, and it includes items such as card holder name and account number. Whereas the track 2 data contains information such as the credit card number and expiry date. So again, skimming is an attack which applies here as well. It's a method to capture the personal information. We have seen this earlier. And there can also be a POS malware, which is a point of sale malware, a type of malicious software that is used by criminals to target point of sale terminals with the intent to obtain the credit card and debit card information by reading the device memory from the retail support system. So what are the best practices for point of sale system? For organization service providers, update the POS application. Keep all POS system regularly updated, including POS application software. Use antivirus. It is suggested to continuously update the antivirus program to be effective on the POS network. Install firewall. Firewall should be utilized to protect POS system from outside attacks. Firewall can prevent unauthorized access to or from private network by screening out traffic from hackers, viruses, worms, or other type of malware, specifically designed to compromise POS system. And restrict access to internet. Applies access control on the router to limit unauthorized traffic to the POS system. And continuing the service provider best practices, disallow remote access. Cyber criminals can exploit remote access configuration on POS system to gain access to these networks. To prevent unauthorized access of POS system, disallow remote access to POS network all time. Review all the logs. Organization and merchants providing POS systems should review all the logs for any strange or unexplained activity on regular basis. Encrypt the transmission of card holder across the open or public network. POS software application, this is for merchants now. Keep all the POS system regularly updated, including POS software application. Review all logs. Organization merchants providing POS service should review all system logs for any strange or unexplained activity on the regular basis. Account lockout policy, logging out account and after n number of inactive application login attempts. And POS system should not be used for general internet access by the retailers. Use strong passwords. All POS device owners should change passwords to POS systems on regular basis using unique account numbers and complex passwords. And continuing, the merchants should ensure that all their Wi-Fi and the internet configurations are secure. In addition, merchants may reduce the signal strength of their Wi-Fi network so that it does not extend beyond the area of use or the shop or building. Ensure that no electronic or magnetic devices are attached with the POS systems. Enter the PIN number in a secret manner. Merchants should always purchase POS system from reputable dealers. If any suspected transactions are observed, contact the service provider bank immediately. So next is coming to micro ATMs, which are these handheld devices where people can pay, carry out payment transactions. So micro ATMs are point of sale systems that work with minimal power, connect to a centralized banking server through mobile data, and thereby reducing the operational costs considerably. And the basic interoperable transaction type that micro ATM will support are to deposit, to withdraw, to fund transfer, and balance inquiry and mini statement. So the micro ATM will support following means of authentication. It supports biometric plus Aadhaar. It supports Aadhaar and OTP. It supports magnetic strip plus biometric, magnetic strip or OTP, or magnetic and PIN number. So again, here also the skimming attack applies. Thief can obtain the credit card information using a small electronic device near the slot. And social engineering, which we discussed earlier, also applies here. It involves gaining the trust, and fraudster poses a member of the staff, and the fraudster would have gained the confidence of the prey using various techniques. So what are the best practices for micro ATM kind of devices? Before using micro ATM, please ensure that there are no strange objects in the insertion panel of the ATM to avoid skimming attack. And cover the PIN password while entering the PIN. Destroy the transaction received securely after reviewing. Change ATM PIN on regular basis. Keep an eye on bank statement and dispute any unauthorized changes or withdrawals immediately. Shred anything that contains credit card number written on it. Notify the credit card issuer in advance for change of address. And do not accept card directly from the bank in case it is damaged or seal is open. And do not write numbers on credit card. Do not disclose a credit card number PIN to anybody. Do not hand over the card to anyone, even if he claims to represent the bank. And do not get carried away by strangers who try to help you use the micro ATM device. And do not transfer or share account detail with unknown or non-validated source. In case of any suspected transaction or loss of card, contact the service provider or bank immediately. Next, coming to online banking, which is banking using your laptop or computer, where most industries have deployed on internet technologies as an essential part of their business operations. The banking industry is one of the industry that has adopted internet technology for their business operation, and in their plans, policies, and strategies to be more accessible, convenient, competitive, and economical as an industry. The aim of these strategies was to provide online banking to customers and facilitate access to and manage their bank accounts easily and globally. Online banking, also known as internet banking or e-banking or virtual banking, is an online electronic payment system that enables customers of bank or other financial institute to conduct a range of financial transactions through the financial institute's websites. So the online banking system will typically connect to or be a part of core banking application operated by the bank. And it is in contrast to branch banking, which was the traditional way customers accessed banking services. The online banking has been deployed more frequently over the past few decades to support and improve the operational and managerial performance within the banking industry. So coming to the threats for online banking, these are some information security threats and risks associated with the use of online banking. The confidentiality, privacy, and security of the internet banking transaction and personal information are major concerns for both banking and the industry and internet banking. Attacks on online banking today are based on deceiving the user to steal the login data. So things like phishing, cross-site scripting, adware, keylogger, malware, spyware, Trojan, viruses are currently the most common online banking security threats and risks. So some of the attacks are like credential stealing attacks, where fraudster try to gather users' credential either with the use of malicious software or through phishing. There can also be a channel breaking attack, which involves intercepting the communication between client and side and the banking server by masquerading as the server to the client and vice versa. The man-in-the-middle attack takes place between the user and browser. The adversary is granted with privilege to read, write, change, and delete browser's data, while the user is unaware of it. So coming to the best practices, protect your PC, install antivirus software, keep it updated on regular basis to guard against new viruses. Install personal firewall to protect your PC against unauthorized access by hackers. Keep your operating system and internet browser up to date, checking for and downloading new versions or security enhancement from the vendor's website. Use strong passwords. And protect your personal information. Create hard to guess security access codes, user ID for online banking, and make them unique. For example, they should not be the same as the one you use to access your email account. Change your security access codes periodically. Memorize your security access codes. Avoid writing them down and keep them in strictly personal and confidential. Do not disclose to anyone your security access codes. Bank will never initiate or contact you for your e-banking or ATM pins, card or account number, personal information, either through phone or any electronic or written form. Also refrain from providing ATM pin over for e-commerce transactions. Never leave your PC unattended when logged into internet banking. Always remember to log off from your online session using log off button when finishing using the internet banking services. Use internet cautiously. Verify the online banking URL. Never attempt to access the online banking internet through an external link of unknown or suspicious origin appearing on other websites like search engine or emails. Before logging in, check for bank security certificate details and various signs. For example, the green address line and lock and HTTPS certificate in your browser, which will confirm you that you are visiting a secure banking page. And ignore and delete immediately suspicious, fraudulent, spoof or phishing emails that appear to be from bank, which asks you to urgently click a link to provide a website, which tries to mimic a bank site and to lure you into providing your sensitive information. Use the internet cautiously. Never click on link containing in the suspicious email. Avoid using online banking from publicly shared PC, like cafes or libraries, and avoid the risk of having your personal information copied and abused. So stay alert when it comes to banking. Sign on to online banking regularly and review your account transactions, checking for fraudulent activity on your account. Keep track of your last logon details, date and time, displayed on top left of your banking homepage. Once logged into online banking, you can also monitor the actions performed online and promptly report these suspicious activities. Contact your bank immediately if you think somebody knows your secure access codes, or in case theft of your code or money, or in case you have forgotten your credentials. Forward any suspicious emails to the bank on their phishing reporting email address, as well as to your information security officer of your organization. Next, coming to banking, mobile banking. So the increasing usage of smartphone has enabled individuals to use various applications, including mobile banking applications. More and more individuals have started using mobile applications for banking as compared to traditional desktop or web-based banking applications. Mobile banking refers to the use of smartphone or other cellular device to perform online banking tasks for various use cases such as monitoring account balances, viewing many statement, account statement, transferring funds between accounts, bill payments, etc. So what are some of the threats for mobile banking? There are malwares. There have been incidents that involved sophisticated virus infecting banks' mobile apps users to steal password detail and even prevent two-factor authentication by presenting victim with a fake version of the login script when they access their legitimate banking application. A key vector by which the mobile banking malware get into mobile device is through malicious applications posing as legitimate applications that users download and then become infected. So continuing the threats, download and use antivirus protection for the mobile phone or your tablet. Use the latest version of software, which allows receiving important stability and security fixes. And applications for detecting and removing threats, including firewall, malware detection, intrusion detection, should be installed and activated. And reputed applications should only be downloaded onto smartphone from market after looking at developer's name, review star rating system, and check for permissions that the application requests, and ensure that the application matches the features provided by that application. Again, phishing smishing attack applies here as well. The attacker attempts to phish on the mobile using SMS and all. And email and text messages asking user to confirm or provide personal information like CVV, PIN number and all should be ignored. SSL and TLS should be adequately implemented in mobile application, thus help prevent man-in-the-middle attacks. So continuing the threats, jailbroken or rooted devices, there's a practice to gain unrestricted or administrative access to the device entire file system at the risk of exposing the device, making it vulnerable to malicious applications by breaking its inherent security model and limitations, allowing malware and rogue apps to infect the device and control critical functions such as SMS. Thus, the mobile banking application is exposed to extreme risk on a jailbroken devices. So don't jailbreak your device, don't root your device, use device without root. Outdated OS and no secure network connection. So these factors such as outdated mobile phone, use of non-secure Wi-Fi connection allows cyber criminals to exploit existing online banking sessions to steal funds and credentials. Always use secure network. It is important to be connected only to the trusted networks. Avoid the use of public Wi-Fi networks. Coming to best practices for mobile banking, enable passwords on the device. Strong password should be enabled on the user's phone, tablet, or other mobiles before mobile banking can be used. So additional layer of security inherently provided by this device should be used. So if you're launching the application, you should ask for password before you open the application. Bank account number or PIN should not be stored on the user's mobile phone. The user should report the loss of mobile phone to bank for them to disable the PIN and access to the mobile account through the banking app. When downloading the mobile app in the mobile device, the user should go to trusted source such as App Store. User can alternatively check the banking website for the details. The app from any other third party should not be downloaded to the mobile. Only visit secure shopping websites. Look for lock. Check the address bar for padlock symbol, indicating that it's a secure website. And the address must begin with HTTPS symbol, indicating that it's a secure website. It should not be an HTTP website. Do not click on remember my password box in the browser. Continuing the best practices, watch out for frauds. With online banking, you typically receive a confirmation for an order and another when shopping occurs. One current phishing scam sends a fake email indicating a problem with your order and include a link or attachment to click it. So another phishing scam is targeting Amazon shoppers. Amazon will never send you an email asking for personal information like user social security number or tax ID or bank number, credit card number or any other number, or mother's maiden name or account password. If you receive such a mail, report to concerned authorities immediately. Continuing the best practices, review your credit card information and bank statement. Only shop on sites that take secure payment, such as card or credit card. Watch out for fake shopping apps. Thieves are trying to steal credit card and identity with fake shopping apps. Be sure you are downloading the legitimate app by getting it from company's official website, or if downloading from the App Store directly, check to see if it has been there for years and has a high rating from many users. Never be the first to download a new shopping app. If you are interacting with brands on social media, make sure they are verified with a little blue mark on their profile, which means that the company is legitimate. Now coming to AEPS, which is Aadhaar-enabled payment system. So the Aadhaar-enabled payment system can be used for all banking transactions, such as bank inquiry, cash withdrawal, cash deposit, payment transaction, Aadhaar to Aadhaar fund transfer, etc. It uses the Aadhaar number and biometric fingerprint of the user. AEPS financially transactions are performed using Aadhaar-enabled POS machines. AEPS does not require any OTP or PIN for verification. It depends on data available with the UIDI CADR repository, which holds your authenticated data during the Aadhaar download process. AEPS performs payment transaction using the bank account linked with Aadhaar number of the user. All the transactions carried out through the bank correspondent based on Aadhaar verification. There's no need to physically visit a branch or provide debit card or credit card information, or even make a signature on document. This service can only be availed if Aadhaar number is registered with the bank where you hold the account. This is another initiative by NPCI to promote digital payments in the country. Let's go second. Yeah. 30 minutes. Please connect the top of the meeting. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Yeah, sorry, some construction work is going on. They will be over in 5 minutes. So the Aadhaar-enabled payment are built into the Aadhaar platform. If any vulnerability affects Aadhaar, then AEPS will also be vulnerable. So the Aadhaar-based payment system may be vulnerable to the dummy finger method, which is the method using your duplicated fingerprint can be made using glue or gum. Fraudsters can make their transaction using a fingerprint and you can lose money. Cloning the debit card is not very easy, but the gummy finger method where you need to use gum or glue makes this very vulnerable to fraud. The merchant uses the Aadhaar-enabled payment system to authenticate your fingerprints. The biometric data could be stored on the device, or merchant can store your biometric data on his or her smartphone. So what are the best practices? Ensure the devices that are the point of sale machines and biometric capture machines are not tampered, and with only certified devices have been used. Lock your biometric Aadhaar if you are not planning to use it. Lock access at bank level and not at Aadhaar level. And coming to instant loan applications, instant loan applications having several links to China have been running a blackmail scam. The blackmails have led to at least 60 people taking their lives after being abused and threatened. Those who took their life due to harassment by these apps were mostly in 20s or 30s, very young people. And upon downloading them, these apps gain control of the contacts and photos in the user's phone as well as ID cards. If the customer do not repay the loan on time, and sometimes even after they pay, these apps share the information with the call center, who then using the device harass and humiliate people into repaying the loan. So follow these steps to find an unauthorized transaction in your account. If you find an unauthorized transaction, contact your bank. As per the RBI regulation, illegal transaction, if reported immediately, will pay back the lost amount if the bank finds there is no fault with the account holder. File a fraud or police report. Monitor your account and credit closely. Cyber reporting financial frauds. Cyber crime complaint can be registered with any of the cyber cell in India, irrespective of the place where it was originally committed. At present, most cities in India have dedicated cyber crime cells. So first step one is to, the very step is to file a cyber crime is to register a written complaint with the cyber crime cell of the city you are currently in. When filing a cyber crime complaint, you need to provide your name, contact detail and address for mailing. You need to address the written complaint to the head of the cybercrime cell of the city where you are filing the complaint. In case you are the victim of the harassment, a legal counsel can be approached to assist you with reporting it to police station. Additionally, you may be asked to provide certain documents with the complaint. This would, however, depend on the nature of the crime. Then register a cybercrime FIR. If you do not have access to any of the cybercrime, then you can file a FIR at the local police station. In case your complaint is not accepted, you can approach the commissioner or city's judicial magistrate. Then certain cyber crime offences come under Indian Penal Code. You can register a cybercrime FIR at the nearest police station to report them. And you can also contact the CERTIN official website. CERTIN is the nodal agency for responding to cyber security incidents as and when they occur. Now coming to mobile device security. Mobile phones are increasingly becoming very popular as they are as powerful and functional as many computers and are rapidly becoming attractive targets for malicious actors. It is important to protect your smartphone just like you protect your computer, as mobile cyber security threats are growing. To prevent unauthorized access to your phone, set a password or PIN on your phone's home screen. Use a different password for each of your important logins like email, banking, personal site, etc. Configure your phone to automatically lock after 5 minutes or less when your phone is idle, as well as use SIM password protection available on the smartphones. Do not alter the security setting for convenience. Tampering with your phone's factory setting or jailbreaking or rooting undermines the built-in security feature while making it more susceptible to attack. Backup all the data stored on your mobile phones, such as your contacts, documents, and photos. These files can be stored on your computer or on removable storage card or in the cloud. This will allow you to conveniently restore the information to your phone should it be lost, stolen, or otherwise erased. Before downloading an app, conduct research to ensure the app is legitimate. Check for reviews confirming the legitimacy of app and comparing the app's sponsor website and other links. Many apps from untrusted sources contain malware that once installed can steal information, install virus, and cause harm to your phone's content. There are also apps that warn you if any security risk exists on your phone. Be careful about granting access to personal information on your phone or otherwise letting the application have access to perform functions on your phone. Make sure you also check the privacy setting for each app before installing. An important security feature widely available on smartphone, either by default or as an app, is the ability to remotely locate and erase all of the data stored on your phone, even if the phone GPS is off. In case you misplace your phone, some application can activate a loud alarm. Even if your phones are silent, these apps can help you locate and recover the phone lost. Keep your phone's operating system software up to date by enabling automatic updates or accepting updates. By keeping your operating system current, you reduce the risk of exposure to cyber threats. Avoid public or Wi-Fi open Wi-Fi unless you can make necessary security measures. Completely erase the data of your phone and reset the phone to its factory setting before donating, selling, or recycling. Record the IMEI number of your mobile phone in case you lose it using this number. Do a digital detox period. It's a period of conscious refrain in using digital devices. Do not share OTP with anyone else, even with bank. Do not agree to install screen sharing apps like AnyDesk or TeamViewer as suggested by any service provider or executive. Keep Bluetooth off and undiscoverable. Before transferring data to and from mobile, scan with latest antivirus. Don't keep sensitive information like username, password on mobile phone. Be careful when you post and when. Wait for post pictures from trips and events so that people do not know where to find you. Posting where you are also reminds others that your house is empty. Review and delete any apps that you do not use regularly. Coming to Wi-Fi security, most of the wireless devices are vulnerable in the default configuration. By taking advantage of these unsecured Wi-Fi, hackers fulfill their needs. All these criminal acts will naturally be associated with the legal user of the access point. So it now becomes the responsibility of the user to secure his or her own access point. Hackers penetrated into open Wi-Fi network of luxury hotels owned by Thomson Group in New York, Los Angeles, and Washington, and stole private mails sent by the guests. And just 5 minutes before the Delhi blast on September 2008, terrorists used unsecured Wi-Fi connection of the company at Chembur in Mumbai to send terror mail to authorities and news channels. The audit trail ends at Wi-Fi access point of the user. So it becomes imperative for the user to secure their own access points. Always use strong password for the encryption. Restrict access to access point based on MAC address. Change the default username and password of the access points. Do not broadcast your SSID name, Wi-Fi name. Disable the DSCP service of the access point. Shut down access point when you are not using it. So with this, we'll come to the basics of cybersecurity. Cryptography has been used for thousands of years. We tend to think of cryptography as a modern concept, but it has been used for thousands of years to hide secret messages. The first known evidence of use of cryptography in some form was found in an inscription around 1900 BC in the main chamber of tomb of nobleman Numoto in Egypt. Whereas the Arthasastra, which is a classical work on statecraft, which is written in 300 BC, describes the espionage service in India and mentions giving assignment to spies in secret writing. And around 100 BC, Julius Caesar was known to use encryption to convey secret messages to his army general posted in wartime. Caesar cipher is most mentioned in historical ciphers in academic literature. It is easy to see that ciphers depending on secrecy of the system and not the encryption key. Once the system is known, these encrypted messages can be easily decrypted. So during the 16th century, Bignier designed a cipher that was supposedly the first cipher, which used the encryption key. So in this case, the secrecy of the message depended on the secrecy of the encryption key rather than the secrecy of the system. And subsequently, the Enigma machine was invented by German engineer Arthur Schneebus at the end of World War I and was heavily used by the German forces during the Second World War. The Enigma machine cipher was eventually broken by Poland, and the technology was transferred to British cryptographers who designed a means of obtaining the key daily. This was then kept secret as Germans will realize Enigma is compromised and change the machinery. Therefore, the team cannot obtain every decoded message. This was captured in the movie The Imitation Game we have seen. In 1970, IBM realized that their customers were demanding some form of encryption. So they designed a cipher called Lucifer. And in 1973, the National Bureau of Standards, which is now called NIST, put out a request for proposal for a block cipher, which would become the national standard. Lucifer was eventually accepted and was called DS, or the Data Encryption Standard. DS was broken by an exhaustive search attack. The main problem with DS was small size of encryption key. And in 1997, NIST again put out a request for proposal for new block cipher. It received over 50 submissions. In 2000, it accepted Rindel cipher and named it as AES, or Advanced Encryption Standard. Today, A is widely accepted standard for symmetric encryption. In recent times, advancement in quantum computers have led to think about post-quantum cryptography. In 2016, NIST announced a call for proposal seeking public help in designing quantum resistant algorithms, which could help in withstanding assault of future quantum computer. NIST has finalized the first set of quantum cryptography standards, including Crystal Kyber, Crystals Dilithium, and Sphinx Plus. These are designed to protect against quantum computer threats and are now ready for implementation. Additional algorithms will be announced by end of 2024. To summarize, the secrecy of message should always depend on secrecy of the key and not on the secrecy of the encryption system. This is known as the Kirchhoff's principle. And always use ciphers which have been publicly reviewed and have been established as standard. So continuing the basics, symmetric key cryptography uses same key for both encryption and decryption. Asymmetric key, also known as public key cryptography, uses pair of keys to encrypt and decrypt data. The pair of keys include a public key, which can be shared with anybody, and a private key, which is kept secret by the owner. The key exchange, also known as key establishment, is a method in cryptography by which cryptographic keys are exchanged between two parties, allowing use of cryptographic algorithms. Digital signature is a mathematical scheme for waiving authenticity of the digital message or document. It confirms that the information originated from the signer and not been altered. Continuing the basics, we hear about authentication factors like multi-factor, two-factor. So what are these factors? So there are basically three factors of authentication. The first is the knowledge factor, which is the factor which you know, like the username and password. Second is the possession factor. It is something you have, such as your smart card or smart token or your mobile phone, which is the possession factor. Third is the inherence factor. Inherence factor is something you are. This includes biometric features such as fingerprint, voice, or iris pattern. For example, if you are withdrawing money from ATM, it already uses two-factor. You are using the card, which is the possession factor. You are possessing the card, and you are also entering the PIN number, which is the knowledge factor. And so sending codes to email does not make it two-factor. There are some websites which will send the OTP code to email, right? So in that case, it is not a two-factor authentication, because if your email is compromised, that code can be compromised. And generating codes on your PC, where you're using it for logging, also does not make it two-factor, because there's no possession factor here. So coming to password management, this is a comic from XKCD, which basically highlights that if you're using a password like this, which is a smaller password having complex characters, then it is actually easier for computers to break. So rather, we should use a longer passphrase, which is like a sentence, which will be easier for humans to remember and then difficult for computers to break. So first and foremost, you should follow the password policy of your organization. In 2021, NIST published this guideline 863B, which is called the Digital Identity Guidelines, where they have told that the password length is more important than password complexity. So if you go back to the slide, if you see this is something password complexity. It has special characters, it has numbers and all. Whereas if you see this password, it doesn't have the complexity, but it's a longer password. So the modern recommendation is to have a longer password rather than having a shorter password with complexity. So enforcing complex password that require uppercase, lowercase, number, and special password will ensure strong passwords are created in theory. But in practice, these requirements results in weak password being created. For example, if you see password 123*, so this will meet the password requirement. It has the capital characters 1, 2, 3, and then special characters. It will meet the complexity requirement, but it's not a strong password. We know it's a very weak password. Nobody should use these passwords. So instead, we should encourage the use of passphrases, which are longer and easier to remember. And in the same guideline, this NIST 863B guidelines also says that we should not enforce regular password resets, because humans are generally bad at creating passwords. Users will create new passwords that are virtually identical to the last one and will follow predictable patterns when creating new passwords. So alternatively, they choose commonly used passwords or weaker passwords. So password reset should be performed only if it's suspected that the password has been compromised. If you suspect that it is already compromised, only it should be password be reset. And the same guidelines also says that we should allow pasting of passwords. So preventing pasting of password is frustrating, especially when combined with complexity requirement. It slows down the account creation and logging in and encourages users to set weak password. By allowing password pasting, it allows you to use password managers, which are dedicated applications where securely passwords can be stored. And enable show password while typing. So if a user types a complex password and makes a typographic mistake, they will not know where mistake has been made. So users will be able to decide where there is someone's shoulder surfing and whether or not to display the password. So there should be an option for user to show the password. If somebody is looking behind the shoulder, user will know, and then user will not be clicking it and hide. And then the same guidelines also says to limit the number of failed password attempts before account is logged. So brute force attack to guess passwords are more likely to succeed if there are no limits placed on the number of failed attempts. By setting the account lockout after 3 or 5 failed attempts, brute force attacks will be harder. And it recommends to use two-factor authentication. Make sure two-factor authentication is enabled on all the accounts. If the password is compromised, a phishing attack, for example, without other factor, account access will not be granted if it is secured by two-factor authentication. And then this is a way of storing the password, salting and hashing. Salt passwords with at least 32 bits of data. So this concludes the presentation. If there are any queries, we can take it. Question which says, what will happen if the battery of the mobile is down and SIM is broken? Not exactly clear what means. If you have no other option, then it will be down. Please ensure charging proper. Is it safe to use password manager like Samsung Pass or Google Managers? So there's a question from Mr. Anuj. So for your personal purposes, this can be used like Google and all. Samsung, I'm not sure, but Google for your personal accounts can be used, but for official accounts and all, not to be used. Always consult your organization's policy while using the password manager within the organization. But for a personal use, you can please use online services like Google Password Manager. Okay, so there's a question to explain the concept of 2FA again. So let me go back to two-factor. I will go to the factors of authentication. Yeah, here. Okay, I'll share the screen again. Let me share the screen again. Okay, so I'm addressing this question of concept of 2FA. So authenticator factor, basically there are 3 factors. Knowledge factor means like a password. Password is something you know. So that is a knowledge factor. Possession factor is something you have. For example, if a OTP is coming to your mobile phone, then mobile phone is something which you only have. Nobody else has your mobile phone, right? So mobile phone is a possession factor. Whereas ignorance factor is like a print, like a fingerprint. Nobody can spoof your fingerprint. So if any 2 of these factors are combined in the authentication process, then it becomes a 2-factor authentication. So traditionally, everything is just knowledge factor, right? Traditionally, all your applications are using only passwords. So the problem with only using 1 factor is that if your password is compromised by virus, let us say if your computer is having virus and that virus is able to capture your password, then the attacker can use the same password to log into your account, right? So that is why if you are using only a knowledge factor, then you are less safe. But let us say your application, you are combining the knowledge factor and your possession factor. For example, if you are logging into your bank, you have to type your bank password, and then bank will send an OTP to your mobile. You have to enter that also. So even if your password is compromised, attacker will not be able to log into your bank account because he does not have your mobile phone where the OTP is there. So combining multiple factors will increase the security of the system because attackers have to compromise multiple factors of authentication. So there are some security mechanisms where all three are used. So that is more secure. But any two factors are used, it is more secure than knowledge factor alone. So I hope that clarifies second two-factor authentication. Are there any software which can suggest the password format and lengths? So there are some various applications. Like one open source application is called KeyPass. I will type here if you can see. KeyPass XC. Are you able to read this? This is one offline password manager. It's an open source password manager which allows you to store your password securely on your computer. So this also has a feature to generate passwords. So if you're creating a password, you can generate password using the KeyPass XC. So for your organization's password, you have to discuss with your organization's information security officer. For your personal use, you can use such applications like KeyPass or even browsers, Firefox browser, Chrome browser. No, when you're creating account, it will suggest a password. So the password which is suggested by your browser, Firefox or Chrome, those passwords are very secure. Okay, unless you change it, it will allow you to change also. If you're not changing, using it as it is, those passwords are very secure. Okay, so use the password suggested by your browser and all, and then use passwords generators like KeyPass XC. But general rule of thumb is have a long passphrase. Like I loved my vacation to Shimla in 2016, for example. I will write here. Say I loved my vacation to Shimla in 2016. Okay, so if you see this, this is very easy to remember, and space can be included in password. In most applications, you can use space as password. Okay, so use long passphrases which are easy to remember and difficult for computers to break, rather than using uppercase, lowercase, and complexity and shorter passwords. Okay, so I hope this is addressed. Next question is secure. How secure is our mobile phone hardware and its OS when most of them are made in foreign countries? Okay, so just because it is in foreign country doesn't mean it is less secure. If there are from reputed companies like Apple or Samsung, which are from US and South Korea, they can be trusted. But the more important thing is that they should be up to date. If you're using a 10-year-old iPhone, it will not be secure because Apple will not provide security for 10 years. So more important is to keep your phones up to date. Okay, whereas cheaper phones from some neighboring countries, those may not be most as secure as devices from Apple or Samsung. Is blockchain technology totally safe for online transaction? So blockchain-based systems, blockchain is basically an open ledger. Basically, it's like your book which is kept open for everybody to read. So widely used systems are secure, but there are some legal and compliance aspect to it, which has to be seen from legal point of view. But anything which is famously used, I would say that they are safer. We should not use anything which is not known or no. Any new technology should not be used. Whatever is already established can be used. But again, they are just an open ledger for verification. Next is what type of authentication Google Authenticator does? Okay, so this is a good question. Google Authenticator is an application which uses something called as a TOTP, time-based on-time password. I don't know whether you can read this. It's called a time-based one-time password. So the way this works is that the server where you're authenticating, it has a secret key. And that secret key is encoded as a QR code. And then you will be scanning that QR code using your Google Authenticator application. And by that means that secret key will come to your phone. And then using the secret key and based on the current time, both your cell phone and the server will generate a 6-digit token. Okay, that token is generated on your device based on time. Okay, so based on current time, 6-digit code is generated. Okay, so it is not coming through a network. Even if your network is off, even if you remove the SIM card, even if you disable your Wi-Fi, this code will still work because it is generated on your mobile phone based on the current time. So if your time is off, which is unlikely because today's phones are connected to internet and they keep updating the time. So as long as your phone is having correct time, it will generate a 6-digit code, which is same as the code generated by the server. So based on this mechanism, you can authenticate to the application. So it is type of a possession factor because your mobile phone only you are having. So Google Authenticator uses TOTP mechanism of authentication. Then our API is secured with authentication tokens or IP whitelisting. Our third-party library is regularly updated to prevent vulnerabilities. So depending on use cases, both are used. In some cases, tokens are also used. Some cases, whitelisting is also used. It depends on use cases. Third-party libraries are updated to prevent vulnerabilities. So this is an important question. While developing, we tend to use many third-party libraries. So yes, we should keep updating them. There is something called as a software bill of material. Software bill of material. So this is a practice of listing out all the libraries which you are using in your application. So you should list all the libraries and versions and keep checking whether they are vulnerable or not. So this is a practice which recently, it has been encouraged. Earlier days, people were not doing this. So correct, it has to be done. Third-party libraries have to be checked for preventing vulnerabilities. Then how using public Wi-Fi makes a user vulnerable to cyber attacks. Correct. So what happens in a public Wi-Fi network? One is that encryption could be weaker. When you're communicating, let us say you connect to your public Wi-Fi and you are accessing your bank account. Okay. Now, one is that between your mobile phone and your bank, that connection may not be as secure as your own trusted Wi-Fi. That is one. But the major issue is that wherever your traffic is going, the attacker may send the traffic through his device. Okay. So normally, let us say you're using your phone and then bank. Okay. So normally, if you are connecting to your Wi-Fi, the phone is connecting to your banking account directly. But if you're using a public Wi-Fi, there's a chance that the attacker, who is also present on the same network, can tell your phone to send all your traffic to his device. So your phone will send the traffic to attacker's laptop. Okay. And then attacker's laptop will send that connection to bank. Okay. So in this way, the attacker will become what is called as a man-in-the-middle attack. So attacker is telling your phone that he is the router. Okay, so it is called ARP poisoning. Using ARP poison, he will act as router. Okay, so the attacker laptop will tell your phone that he is the router. So your phone will start sending all the traffic to attacker, and attacker will forward the traffic to bank. Okay, so in this case, you may think that you are getting bank's website, but it is going through attacker. So that is why we should not use any untrusted Wi-Fi. And additionally, your mobile phone and laptops, they will be running services like print services, or file share services. Okay, SMB, RDP, SMB kind of services. So what happens is these services may have vulnerabilities. So when you are connecting your computer to an insecure network and exposing these services, attacker can compromise your computer using these attacks and then get into your system. You might have heard of WannaCry attack and all, WannaCry virus. WannaCry, it was exploiting a SMB vulnerability and compromising the computer. So if you're connecting on untrusted public network, you should be very, very careful. As much as possible, don't try to connect. If you are no other option, then use services like VPN. If you have to use it, use services like VPN, which ensures that you are end-to-end secured. Okay, so these are some of the questions. I think fine. With this, can we conclude the session?
Yes, sir. Thank you,
yeah.
sir.